Welcome to Answering the Call, the official podcast of the 12th Man Foundation. Our show brings you closer to the heart of Texas A&M athletics through powerful stories of perseverance, purpose, and life-changing opportunities made possible by 12th Man Foundation donors. From student athletes and coaches to former students and dedicated staff, you'll hear firsthand how donor support shapes the lives of Aggie student athletes in competition and beyond. Whether you're a lifelong Aggie or simply curious about what makes Texas A&M so special, you're in the right place. Let's dive into today's episode. Howdy, and welcome back to another episode of Answering the Call, the official podcast of the 12th Man Foundation. I'm your host, Ivy Robinson, and before I introduce today's guest, I'd like to provide a quick update from the 12th Man Foundation. 2025 fall season ticket renewals are officially open now through July 22nd. So if you're a current season ticket holder for Aggie basketball, volleyball, or soccer, make sure to renew those tickets by the July 22nd deadline to secure your seats. To renew, visit 12th.info/fall renewals today. And hey, if you're looking to purchase new season tickets for those sports, you can go to 12thmanfoundation.com and select the Tickets tab in the main menu. We can't wait to see you at Reed Arena in Ellis Field this fall. Okay, you ready? I am just so excited to be joined in studio today by the one and only Aggie legend, Dat Nguyen. Dat, thanks so much for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me, Ivy, and I'm just looking forward to sharing a story and having a little fun.
Absolutely, let's do it. You are an owner-operator of Chick-fil-A. I have to start here because I am so curious. What is your go-to Chick-fil-A order, Dat?
My go-to? Oh, gosh, there's so many, but I can't go on with the number one. Just an original sandwich. I always pinch myself every time I go to work. I say, God, just a sandwich. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody wants a sandwich, but it is great. The bun and the way Truett Cathy created the boneless chicken sandwich. It's just fantastic. And what he's done is bigger than just a sandwich, obviously. And I got into it, obviously, it's not just about selling sandwiches or having a restaurant or running a business. It's all about people. It's about membership, mentoring, and giving people an opportunity. And that's how I had a chance. And Truett Cathy always talked about in the past was, hey, we're not just in the chicken business, we're in the people business. And there are so many people through my life, through my career, has given me an opportunity, and I'm just trying to give back. Man,
I love that. I think I've also read that you've described your restaurant operation using football terminology. So ranking employees as starters, backups, and red shirts. Can you explain how this system works?
Well, that's all I knew, right? I wanted to really coach football. And unfortunately, I didn't work out the way we wanted. And it wasn't fair for my wife to have to move every few years as a collegiate coach. So I decided to get in the restaurant business because I grew up in the restaurant business. My mom was impacting people that worked for her and then also my relatives that worked for her. And I recall that time when I was going through the process of, hey, what do I want to do? And then when the opportunity came up with Chick-fil-A, that's the same thing. There are people that are really a lot of kids. 70% of our employees are kids. But going back to your question of how do I make it a team or a football team? And you have to think it's the same concept of evaluation. You're always evaluating the player or the team member. It's like, okay, I always use the analogy of, okay, how much can they bring to the table for me? Meaning, what is the value on game day? Obviously, we don't have practice. We game day 6 days a week and the only day off is Sunday.
Right.
So it's kind of a coaching on the run. But for me, we always evaluate players or team members and always give them a grade. Every quarter or so, I sit down and said, okay, who's improved, who's not, and have they topped out? And my goal is always, I use the analogy of Dante Hall. Dante Hall was a great player here at Texas A&M when I was here. He was a running back, a punt returner, a kickoff returner. He was a receiver, went to the Kansas City Chiefs and became all-pro. One of the best players ever to play for Kansas City. So the value of him on a team is so valuable. If there's an injury, guess what? He can play the position. So for me, it's like, okay, how valuable is a team member? If somebody calls in, somebody gets sick, can my leaders fill in? Can they do multiple tasks? You know what I mean? So all those factors in as the grade. Are they 5 stars? Or are they 2 stars? And that's why you rate those players. And if you have a lot of 5 stars, guess what? Your team's going to be pretty darn good. but you have a bunch of 2 stars, it's not going to be good. So you better get ready to roll your sleeves and start working. You have a bunch of 2 stars. But overall, that's how I carry the team. The kitchen obviously is my offensive line. And that's the most important. Food safety, food quality is the most important part. Obviously, they don't get a lot of notoriety. Offensive linemen on football, they do not get notoriety, right? These guys are the ones that do all the dirty work. They win in the trenches. They just really smash mouth guys on the line and move the line of scrimmage. And it's the same thing as what we relate to in the kitchen. And everybody in the kitchen, and you go to a Chick-fil-A, you realize, why are there so many people working? And you realize it's a system of assembly line. I don't let anybody do more than 6 foot from where they're at. So an offensive line, obviously, we stick out the hand at 6 foot, right? A center, a guard, a tackle, a tight end. And my kitchen's the same way. The breader's 6 foot away. He gets his coder, he gets his milk wash, he gets whatever he needs. And then the machine guys, he got 6 foot. And then the guy to make sandwiches, prepare the sandwich, 6 foot. The fry person got 6 foot. And so everything is reachable to give them a chance to succeed. And that's what's fun to me. It's like, okay, how do we enhance that to help them to save their steps? Because they're on their feet all the time. And so that's one. Obviously, our defense is the front line. So we take orders, and that's our defense. We touch the customer quite a bit, so we get to defend the product, the brand. So that's how we look at that. And one thing that's really been good is that I've been there almost 9 years now, and we try to create a culture where you enjoy coming. It's like it's not work. Don't say that I have to go to work tomorrow. It's like I get to go to work. So the mentality is totally different. Right. So we try to teach that way, and we try to be positive that way. Mindset, it's all about between the minds. And so for us, it's been fun. We had our ups and downs, obviously, but I got a bunch of Aggies here. I think there's like 3 or 4 of my team members that are here, and there's testimony on those, and it's kind of fun. It's kind of been rewarding in that aspect that they're the first to go to college and never think they have a chance to go to college. And so they're about to graduate. One's a biology major. The other one's in the core. So it's kind of cool.
That's incredible. Yeah. Okay, something you said there in that response, you mentioned positive mindset, and it's all between the ears. I want to come back to that. But before we get there, something I just have to add. My favorite part about Chick-fil-A is the response of, it's my pleasure.
It's my pleasure. Yeah.
I just think that just makes the whole customer experience so nice. And just, it feels like in today's society, we're kind of getting away from just like manners and just being kind and showing kindness, and that's
funny you
the
said
Chick-fil-A
that.
way, right? My pleasure.
One of my big signs in my building, well, not much one, we got multiple. It says, there's 1 million kind people in this world. If you can't find one, be one. We try to teach them that because you got to be kind. And sometimes you don't want to. I can tell you, we just hired a guy the last year and a half. He's got 3 kids here at A&M. And he was retired. He came back, and he's kind of my chaplain. He's kind of like our counselor for our team, because a lot of them don't want to come talk to me. They feel like, oh, he's too busy or whatever. I was like, no, I'm never busy. I'm around, just talk to me. It's like, but they don't. And it's funny because it goes back to when we were playing football here at A&M, and coaches always say, hey, my door's always open. Come on and talk to me. Like, nobody goes to the coach's office.
Who's gonna do it?
Nobody wanted to go up there. But now I hired this guy, and it's kind of crazy because he's almost like a bridge between me and the team. And so it's been a lot of broken people. And I'm thankful that he's there, but he helps me to realize that, hey, what do we need? How do we need to help these people? And what kind of path do we need them? And the story that goes on, because all these kids because I'm inner city. I don't know if you guys know where the location is. I'm right inner city, Fort Worth, downtown.
It's Montgomery Plaza, right? That's where the Chick-fil-A is.
And it's all inner city kids that works for me, and a lot of them don't have much. And a lot of them are working because their parents are making them. There's a lot of stories, but there's a lot of broken kids, and we're trying to help them, and we're trying to give them a chance. And every day it's something new.
I think that's awesome, though. Like, not only you're providing a job opportunity for these kids, but y'all are viewing it in terms of like almost a ministry to help them to partner and walk alongside them and help build them up and prepare them for the future. And I think that's incredible.
Yeah, so it's been fun. We have changed so many kids, so many lives accepted Jesus Christ. It just goes on and on and on. So it's kind of cool. It just adds on. Those are my trophies.
Very cool. Well, Dad, to circle back to your story personally, you had a very prominent career at Texas A&M, and that carried over to the NFL as a middle linebacker for the Dallas Cowboys. I have so many questions about both of those seasons of your life, but before we jump into that, I can't skip over this. Can you first just lay the foundation about your background, your story?
Yeah.
I know many Aggies are listening to this podcast right now, and they're probably well aware of your story and who you are. But for those who may not know, I would like for you to just take some time to share about your story and your family.
Yeah, so our family during the war in Vietnam, back in 1975, April of 75, my dad was fortunate to have a phone, and he owned a marine supply back then, so that he buys supply, that he resells supplies to shrimpers and boaters or whatever they need before they go out. He was fortunate to have a phone, and during that time, the North was trying to invade the South, and the North Viet Cong did not want any Christianity or any religious background in the South, so they tried to invade. So my dad was fortunate to afford the radio, and midnight of April 25th, 1975, my mom was 5 months pregnant with me, and he decided to leave because it was an indicator that, hey, the Viet Cong was coming. So we were living in a small village south side of Saigon called Binh Da, and so we left. And so we were out there. I guess when we left, we departed, and all our family left. Someone was supposed to take my grandparents, and they left them. And yeah, it was a big deal. Obviously, there was about 50 of us on the boat, and we were going out, and we were supposed to be connected to the American ship. Unfortunately, the Viet Cong was shooting at us, so it backed the American ship off. So we were never connected. So we were sailing in the sea. We were stuck out there at sea for 8, 9 days, almost 2 weeks. And I'm going to tell you, my mom always said that she almost, had a miscarriage. She didn't think she was going to make it through the full term of pregnancy. There's no food, basically just water and rice. And we finally got to land in Thailand. And there we did some paperwork, got on land, and finally they flew us to Camp Pennington in San Diego. And there we went to Fort Chaffee, Arkansas, in which I was born. That's where I was born, at the refugee camp. Then after that, we got dispersed through the Catholic Charities of America. So they took us in, they dispersed us all around the country. And back then, obviously, we didn't have Instagram, we didn't have Facebook, we didn't connection-wise, it was just a landline phone, right? Or write a letter. So we were in Michigan, and I just found this out a few years back. We were in Kalamazoo, Michigan. They gave my dad a car, and he worked for the church, and mom stayed home with the 6 kids. And my mom's sister-in-law and brother were down in Brownsville, Texas. And that's where they were with the Charity Catholic of America. And she passed away suddenly. And they had 11 kids. And my mom was obviously devastated. And so she made my dad drive us down to meet them because no one's going to take care of those 11 kids. We came down from Kalamazoo, Michigan, and we eventually end up in Rockport. And remember that little town south of Saigon called Binh Da? That was, translation is Port of Rock. We live in Rockport now for the last almost 50 years. So,
what are the odds?
Yeah.
God's
unbelievable.
Chills.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. But we were there, and then obviously got introduced to the game of football or sports. I played a lot of sports. I was a soccer player at first. Then I thought I was going to be the next Shaquille O'Neal. All my Asian friends are so small, so I thought I'd tower over them. But I got introduced to football. My junior high coach at that time was a baseball player. He graduated from A&M. He played for the Colt 45 and also the Astros organization for over 20 years. And he was our football coach. And my brother was out playing, and my cousins were playing. And he introduced me, go, hey, just come out and play. So I finally decided to come out. And then fell in love with the game. And that's how my career started with football. And that was it, really. Didn't know anything about the hip pockets with the belt loops or the thigh pads with the pockets inside the thigh pad. I didn't know any of that stuff.
So literally it was all because of that junior high coach.
He encouraged
you to do it.
Yeah.
And did you have any, aspirations to try sports before he had mentioned it to you?
No. Football wasn't something that we did. I'm talking about we played soccer, we played basketball, pickup games, but football's a violent game. But my parents wasn't really big on that. I had to forge their signature to play. to give me permission to play because they didn't know.
One of my questions is, were your parents skeptical? Were they we don't know about this?
No, I went in and what's so crazy was that they didn't even know I was playing football in 8th grade, my first season, till November. It was November, first week of November. I broke my elbow in 8th grade. Going for a fumble, a guy jumped on me and I broke my elbow. And then I had to go get a surgery and then I had to put a cast on. Then I came home. And I walked in, that's how my mom saw me, and that's why, how did you break your arm? And I was like, play football. And then I thought my career was over then. And then she found out and said, hey, it keeps him out of trouble, it keeps him busy, so we'll let you play. So that's how I continue playing the game of football. Yeah, I thought my career was over. That was it. Yeah, one and done.
One and done right there. I mean, as you were learning that game for the first time, what obstacles did you experience? I mean, did you pick up the rules of the game quickly, or how did you?
I had some great coaches, obviously. Mike Coleman was a defensive coordinator. He taught me a lot. He was a quarterback at a small school. But overall, the game of football was interesting. I learned from watching, like meaning Walter Payton. We only had 28 players on the football team. So I had to go offense, defense, but you had to do it all, right? So in order to pick up the game, you had to watch the game. So I had to watch the game just to see, I had a big neck roll at one time, and they called me the Christian Okoye, what do they call his name? It was the Nigerian Nightmare. He had a neck roll. I had a neck roll one time, and I wanted to be like him. And then all of a sudden, I ran the ball as a running back, and I held the ball like a loaf of bread, like Walter Payton. You know what I mean? So you have all these guys, you idolize, you watch, and then I realized when I was playing football, my freshman, sophomore year, and I was like, God, I'm going both ways. I'm getting hit too much playing offense. I was like, I think I feel better the other way. Just play defense.
Yeah, right.
So I decided, I told the coach, hey, the guys play defense and special teams and whatever. But so they took me off of offense, and they only needed me offense whenever they needed me. But I played mainly on defense. And I was like, man, on Sundays or Saturdays, I wake up, I don't feel as bad, So I was delivering the blow instead of absorbing all the blows. So,
exactly.
So that's how my linebacker career started, because I had all these chest pain, bruises in my chest, because you didn't know. When you're playing football, you're a little bit bigger than – I was a big kid for 8th grade. I think I was 5'9" and 180, 175. So I was a big kid. But then I ran straight up like Christian Okoye, and they were smacking me, and I didn't realize it. I wake up the next day, my chest is hurting. I was like, oh, man, I might want to move to the other side of the ball.
So you get through high school. At what point did you start getting recruited?
So I was a late bloomer, meaning that I wasn't getting highly recruited early on during football season. I was getting some letters here and there, but I was thinking that I might end up in like a Division I AA, Ivy League football or something like that, just because I didn't know much about the whole recruiting process. We didn't have a lot of recruited outlet. We didn't have Facebook, Instagram, social media to know what's going on. So I got recruited. December 1st was the first day that a head coach could be at your house. And I get a knock on the door. 8 o'clock in the morning. And the head coach from the University of Michigan was at the door. And I looked at him, and he looked at me, and looked at my mom and dad, and I was like, oh, shoot, they don't speak a lick of English. So I had to go find somebody to translate. So I called my cousin, who was a pioneer of a hometown football. He's the first Vietnamese player to play, so he kind of introduced us to the game. So he comes over, and he walks in. He's starstruck, too. He's like, that's Gary Moeller, the head coach from Michigan. So he translated to my parents saying, hey, Dad, we'll go play college football, and they will pay for his school. My mom and dad can watch the body language. Like, I just put your sister through school. I know how expensive it is. Nobody's going to pay for your school to play football. Are you crazy? So about 9 days later, I took my trip to Michigan. So this time, I was a late bloomer, obviously December. February is when we signed. So December 10th or so, we flew to Michigan. First time I flew in a plane. First time I saw snow. First time I ate lobster.
Oh, what did you think?
I was like, man, this is royalty, man. It's pretty cool. And then we watched Michigan play Duke. Remember the Fab Five? They were there. So everybody, Charles Woodson was there. The late Darrell Russell, Sean Springs. There's all these great players that I didn't know that time who they were, because we didn't know, right? So I go to Michigan. I come back home, and I was playing basketball. So I was flying out the day of or the day after. So we flew up to Michigan, comes back, and if there was a verbal commitment, I would have committed already, right? I was going to be go blue. But my high school coach asked me, how was your trip that Monday? And I said, oh, Coach, I'm going to Michigan. So he goes, whoa, little fella. He's like, hey, you got 5 trips. Just let's take the 5 trips. You're going to get paid to go visit these schools. And I said, okay. So I was going, let's go to California. Sun shines and palm trees, right? Flew in a plane, sun shines and palm trees, ate lobster. I was like, what's the common denominator here? So I go out there. They were getting ready that's the 17th of December now. So the following week, and next week's going to be Christmas. So they're getting ready for the bowl game. UCLA is about to play Wisconsin. That's the year with J.J. Stokes. He was a great receiver. The guy that was hosting me was half Vietnamese and half African-American. His name was Mike Nguyen. And what's funny was that he goes, hey, Jackie Robinson started the African-American deal here. You and I can start the Asian-American. So I was out there. We had a good time. And then we flew back, went through Christmas, went through New Year's. And then the week after New Year's, we went to Austin. So playing basketball, then we go fly up to Austin. And I don't know how it is now, but back then we flew on jets. Like, hey, just after a basketball game, you just go to the local airport. There's a jet there. Just jump on and bam, you go. And it's you and the pilot, but technically in the spread of food, whatever the food was on the plane. So I fly to Austin and had a good visit. I just tell people all the time, I just ate way, way too many Earl Campbell sausages. So I didn't feel too good after that. But then the following week, I guess now it becomes the 14th, the 15th or so, or maybe the 20th of January now. And so I come to A&M after a basketball game, and I flew in, took me to Chili's, the old Chili's right here. When I flew in, we ate at Chili's.
Yeah, right off of Texas.
Yeah, right off Texas, yeah. So I still remember. But it was weird because I just felt like it was home. You know what I mean? It's a small town. It was just like, it wasn't too fast. I think all the places I went to was crazy. Like I went to Michigan, it was snowing, it was crazy. I went to UCLA, it's like, hey, it's fast, LA. And Austin was crazy. And so I go to here, and I think that was, I had another trip to Notre Dame, which I canceled. All these mom and dad was Catholic, and they weren't too happy when I canceled because I was overwhelmed. I was like, man, I'm 17 years old. I was like, man, people pulling you. They were calling you at 6 a.m. or, whatever time they were calling me, 6, 8, and whatever. And I tell you, this is the first time in my life that I asked God for something. And I prayed the night before and I said, hey, I'm overwhelmed. There's so much stuff going on. Please guide me and lead me where you want me to be the next 4 or 5 years of my life. And the next morning I woke up. I was like, Aggieland, here I come. Yeah.
Wow. So you just had this peace. You were like, A&M. You just knew that's where you needed to be.
And I called Coach Slocum. I said, I'm going to come. And he said, okay. And that was it. And that's how it started. But the trip, the recruiting was great. And then you get here and you hit reality, though. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I got here, I was like, man, August, all summer long, people were telling you, oh, how great you are. You're the best thing since sliced bread. So you go in and you come up to campus and you walk into Kane Hall, which down the street, and 28 other guys were here, or 26. I think there was 26 total, and then I was the one of them. So there was 26 of us. I can remember Coach Slocum said, look to your right, look to your left. In 3 years, one of these guys are not going to be here. Reality hits you pretty quickly when he says that, and I still remember that conversation he had in the auditorium in Kane Hall. And what was interesting was that I was introducing myself to all these guys because we didn't know anybody, right? All these guys will be your new teammates, your friends, and the next 4 years, you're hopefully you win more championship because we were on a roll back then during the recruiting process of it. So I introduced myself and linebacker. I was like, what? Like, there's 5 linebackers. And obviously no Facebook, no social media, none of this. So we don't know who all signed, right? You kind of do in the newspaper, but you really don't. And then when you start meeting them, you're like, whoa, man, these guys are all kind of built the same way you are, maybe a little bigger. And I was like, God, A&M's on for the famous defense of the Wrecking Crew.
Right.
3 defensive linemen, 4 linebackers that play at one time. There's 5 of us that signed. One of us not going to play. And obviously, that might have been the best thing that happened to me, that I knew I wasn't ready. It came from a small school, 28 players. And even though it was hard, and I told Coach, if the transfer portal is as easy as it is now, shoot, my career might have started here at A&M, but going back, during that time, it was the hardest part. And I remember going back to high school, telling my coach, because during 2 days, I never even got on the field. I wasn't ready. I knew I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared. Tommy Tuberville was our defensive coordinator, linebacker coach. I brought an extra knee pad every time to practice because we practiced on that turf field. It was hot. It was crazy, 120 degrees, twice a day. And I didn't get no rep on the field. So I sit on the sideline and kneel the whole time. So I had to bring an extra knee pad to put down until I switch knees. So my knees won't get all messed up on that turf. But then after 2 days, I went home and I remember talking to my high school coach. And I said, Coach, I don't know, I'm not happy. There's all this stuff that goes on. You're doubting yourself. I think I might have made mistakes, etc. All this stuff. He said, hey, the game of football is going to end. Your athletic ability is going to decline one day. We don't know when it's going to be. But go back to school, get the education. A&M's giving you a great education. Go get it, and then make football your second priority. I was like, 18 years old, you don't want to hear that, right? You're like, man, you've been successful for all high school, and you're hoo-hoo in campus, and now You become a guy that might never ever play. And it was hard going back, making that commitment, recommit myself and rededicated myself. And I can tell you, I made a sacrifice that 6 o'clock I would work out. I would go to class at 8, come back at 12 and worked out again, and came back at 4 with the team just for the opportunity. I don't know how deep I was on the depth chart. I bet you it was number 9 or so. Like, it's inside linebacker. It was like there's obviously 2 inside position, but I was like at least 9, 10, 11, somewhere deep. And I said, I'll work out 3 times a day for the whole year just to give myself a chance. And I worked all the way back, lost, got my body into a position where I can maybe compete. The guy that was in front of me, one of the 5 guys that signed, one of them was a starter in front of me. So I was like, okay, maybe after his 3 years, maybe his 4 years, I will be a starter after him, after that, maybe my last year. In the meantime, I just contribute on special teams, et cetera. So I worked on myself all the way up to be a backup to him. And before our first game against LSU here in Kyle Field, that Wednesday, Coach Slocum says, get online and run sprints. So we run sprints back, forth, and then he steps in the sprinkler head and he can't play. I had to start and I had to play, and that's how my football career started.
Wow.
Like I always tell people, like when they gave me that opportunity, I wasn't going to lose it. And I wasn't going to give it up. So even when I got hurt, I think the following week we played like Toaster or somewhere, and I sprained an ankle. Same thing, right? I was like, holy smoke, is this like, deja vu, whatever? And I was like, I ain't going to play. I'm going to limp through this. Even though I'm going to make 2 tackles, I'm going to limp through the whole game. And if you go back and watch it, I barely struggle. But, Phil Bennett, I just had lunch with him earlier today, and he's always been a mentor for me, and he's the one that gave me the opportunity. But we always talk about that then he gave me the chance. And then when it came back to the table again with the meeting, because you always know about football, coaches, you're always evaluating, just like we talked about earlier about my business, is that they evaluate, okay, hey, where are we at? How's the guy that's hurt doesn't lose his position, right? And which is true, but then we just move him next to me. So we were both happy and we were both playing and we split time. And so it all worked out, right? But I always tell people, you never know when the opportunity is going to be. As long as you just keep working hard and give yourself a chance. And then when you get that opportunity, you got to seize it.
Right. I mean, I remember from watching your documentary, the All-American documentary. And for those listening, if you haven't watched Dat Nguyen's documentary, our friends at 12 Productions produced that documentary. But there was a quote that said, I think you said something along the lines of, I'm one of those guys who overcomes obstacles. And when your back is against the wall, it makes you work 10 times harder. And so I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
What would be your encouragement to people who are in situations where maybe they feel like an outsider or feel like they don't have the opportunity in careers or their community or in sports?
I think you just got to keep working. Like it's, you get there, your mindset is almost like, I always tell people, I don't think I ever go to work. Like I never had a job because I play sports. I coach. Coaching is so fun to me. Like you're helping somebody all the time, right? So I think you have to figure out if you love what you do. People that feel like, hey, they're stuck or if you don't love what you do, enjoy what you do, you're not going to get anywhere. And it just feels like, hey, monotonous, and you're just clocking in, clocking out, right? That's what you don't want people to think and have that mindset. And for me, you never know how the path works up too. Like how when things goes one way, there's always avenues that open up. It's going to be good, it's going to be bad. Consequences. There will be choices and decisions and consequences, right? And you're always going to have that. And I think to answer your question, I just tell people all the time is that you just got to keep working to a bigger goal. And I see it all the time with all our team members. It's like, hey, we just want to be a leader or move up inside. I said, no, don't move inside the store. Think about owning the store one day. You know what I mean? Think bigger. Like think here. Like I never thought about playing in the National Football League. But when I start thinking about, when I stopped playing the game of football, especially my junior year, I think my junior year was one of the best years I ever had in college football. Out of my 4 years here at A&M, but the game was slow. Like I always tell people, slow is smooth, smooth is fast, right? So that's a mindset. You're like, when you watch sports, you always see like, that guy's good. You know why he's good? He's effortless. With basketball, same in all these sports. And for me, it's almost like the game. I'm not saying being conceited or overconfident or cocky. I just felt like the game was like, I saw the game a lot sooner as it developed before it developed. You know what I'm talking about? Like it was crazy because through the experience of playing and being in it, So I think I would say you want to visualize one, is to see it before it happened, meaning it's going back to my junior high coach. He taught me that, and I'm still doing that nowadays in the business, is that visualization was the biggest part of my career. My success at A&M and professionally in the Cowboys or in business is all about visualization. Meaning, I tell you a story. So we were in junior high, my first game ever as a junior high in 8th grade. Our field house to the stadium, there's a gym. So 100 yards or so within between, there's a gym. So we're walking to the field, first time playing a game, and all of a sudden we look out there. There's the opposing team, the fans, the cheerleaders, our family. Everybody's back, hey, I want to watch a football game, and the friends are out there. And he goes, take a left in that gym. We're like, what? Take a left in that gym. So we go in the gym, and he said, put the helmet down. It's pitch dark. He put the helmet down. He said, close your eyes. I said, quarterbacks, I want to see yourself make that perfect pass for first down. Running backs, I want to see yourself make that first guy miss. Linebackers, I want to see yourself make that tackle for loss. So it's going through all these positions, and all of a sudden, we're like, this guy's crazy, right? Hey, we're going to play football. We go out there, we play. And thank God, the next week, we're walking from the field house to the stadium. Guess what he said? Take that left. So I lay down, and I put my helmet down, and I was like, 28 players. We had to go both ways. Hey, I saw myself make the guy miss. I saw myself making that tackle for loss. So I visualized it before, and then I remember playing at A&M here, and people always talk about, oh, you're so instinctive. You're so instinctive. I was like, what do you mean I'm so instinctive? Like, you see the play so fast. I was like, I saw it last night. I played the play in my mind.
So you're already thinking about doing something successfully.
You're already preparing yourself where, it's just a reaction. Where if you think in sports, forget about it. You're going to lose. If you think you're going to lose and you have any hesitation, you're going to lose. But when there's just a reaction, you got to go. If you give yourself a chance to visualize it, it's just like I always go to talk to businesses that sells products. And I always tell these sales reps, I was like, hey, if you don't have an answer for a why, and they ask you the question and you don't have an answer, you lost your opportunity. So you have to prepare yourself for all the whys. Okay, why this, why that, whatever what product you're selling. But you got to have a answer, because if you don't have an answer, you're going to lose it. And that's basically a game of football.
Thank you for explaining the concept of visualization. Like, I think that's very interesting. And does that go back, you would say, to like your positive mindset, and that mentality is maybe how you got through challenges or obstacles when you were at Texas A&M, is kind of visualizing like, hey, one day I'm going to get that starting position, or one day I'm going to make that tackle, or I'm going to get that interception.
I did it for testing too. Like, it helps you with school. You know, I mean, we visualize it, you study, you see it, and you know, and I don't know, I always joke around about you take tests, and it's the same thing. It's like sometimes you study so much, and you're like, dang, you kind of get jammed up or crossover with certain things. But guess what? It's the same concept. If you think about it and visualize it and see it before it happens, it'll help you as well. So that might be the biggest part of my success in life, has been the visualization.
You mentioned school. So 2 more questions for you about Texas A&M.
Yes.
How did you balance the demands of being both an athlete and a student? And tell us about the moment when you walked the stage at Reed Arena and got your degree from Texas A&M, what that moment meant to you.
Student athletes, very interesting. People don't realize, I think we're very structure. You have to be structured. You got to go here at a certain time for tutoring. You got to go here a certain time to eat. You got to go here a certain time for practice. So your whole time at A&M or in campus has really been scheduled that you have to do this. And you got to go class. And I think it helps you. Really, I wasn't good at time management. You know what I mean? It's like I didn't know anything about it. Man, I went to school, a small school. Shoot. I had, 7 classes in high school, and 6 of them were coaches, So you know how it is. So it took me a while to learn time management and realize in order to get something done and get it right, you have to know to manage your time. And that's the hardest part, when to study, when to meet with people, when to spend time with your friend, et cetera. But I think that's the hardest part for any student athlete to go through. And people don't realize how difficult that is. It's just like, people always compare it to a part-time job in school. Right. You know what I mean? And which it is. And then there's so much more, because there's so much things that happen. It's so organic in sports, right? Injury happen, things happen. If you get injured, think about your setback. You have injury, then you have to go to a trainer, you have to go get some treatment, or you have surgery, you have to get a boot, or you got to get a car, whatever it is. And there's so much stuff that goes on, and then now you still got to go to school. It doesn't stop you from going to school. School is still there. And school is the reason why you're here.
Right.
So I think that's the hardest part. Dr. Mooney was unbelievable. He was an academic advisor at that time. And so they did a great job. Dr. Whitley was the other one too as well. They helped us kind of balance and give us, hey, can you handle 12 hours or 16 hours? So they really help you because we technically did in the football season, nobody did more than 12 hours because of the football season, traveling, et cetera. 16 was the most, I think, in the fall. Then summer school was a big part because, hey, you're going to be here shorter, you can get more done. And we took advantage. I think my first summer I went home. Then after that, we stayed here the whole time, and it allowed me to graduate. And I graduated in right before 4 years, right? Three and some change. And I walked through the stage that summer before my last season. And never think I was going to do that soon, that early, but golly, just the process of it, how everything laid out. But going across the stage, I think Dr. Bowman was the president at that time, shook his hand, and we had 2 days. So I was lucky I didn't stand for the whole ceremony. No, just good. But it was because we had 2 days during that time and I had to go, and I came in, we went through the whole stage, and then I got dismissed. A lot of people don't get dismissed. You're not supposed to leave, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was lucky. I had a pass. I had
in the middle of 2 days. So literally, you
we had to 2 days practice.
Went to graduation, and then you left.
Yeah. So
to go back to 2 days.
So he gave us the dinner. A coach gave us the dinner off of my family, and so they left. I went back, and the next day we would practice again. Yeah, it was so fast. Like it's a blur almost. So you go back and you look at freshman, sophomore. I don't remember anything my sophomore year, really.
If you could name top 2 moments from Texas A&M, like games. If you could pick 2, what would it be and why?
Yeah, one obviously is going to be the Big 12 championship game. I tell people a story all the time. We played, obviously they were the best team in the country at that time, Kansas State. I remember we were playing them, and they were the number 2 team in the country. UCLA was the number 1 team in the country. And they had a storm came in to Miami in September. So the game from UCLA and Miami game was postponed till the end of the season because of the hurricane. And so during the week of the Big 12 championship game, they made up that game because back then they didn't have a championship game, meaning Pac-10 or Pac-12 back then didn't have a championship game or the ACC with the Miami. So they made up that game that weekend. And halfway through the game, they made an announcement that UCLA just got upset by Miami. Erwin James was the running back during that time. And so here's tortillas are thrown on the field that has stopped the game because now they're going to Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. So obviously in St. Louis, 60,000 people were K-State fans. There's about 5,000 of Aggies, because we just lost to University of Texas in the last game, but we won the South, so we're playing against them in the North. And I remember all the way till fourth quarter, it was like 4 minutes and 16 seconds left. We were down by 15 points, and Coach Slocum comes by and says, hey, get a turnover. And, obviously positive thinking. He says, make a turnover. I was like, I remember looking at him, and then I looked at the clock. It was 4:16. And I was like, 15? I played a lot of football. I don't know, Coach. This is like impossible, right? So we go out there the next series. We get the turnover, first play. Turnover, we get the ball, we go down, we scored. And now we're down by 8 points. And then all of a sudden we get the ball back again. And then we drove down, scored, goal for the 2, and tied the game. And went to overtime, went to second overtime, and then we scored and won. And you talking about, man, it was pretty remarkable.
What a moment.
Yeah. So, they always said, you play till the clock runs to 0. It is so true until you experience it. You won't say it until you experience something like that, right? That's like almost impossible. And it happened. And so guys were making plays. Bumgarner caught a third down, long down. Parker made a bunch of plays. It was everybody. It was just so collectively as a group. And the other most memorable time, I guess, I had a chance to go all around the world to play. I played in Mexico City, Aztec Stadium. I played at Tokyo Bowl in Japan. Played all NFL teams, but Kyle Field has to be on top as the number 1 place to ever play. I think it's just so different, so unique. And when you glance up to the stands and you see the student body, the student bodies standing there, and it's like, man, if they're standing up and cheering for you for the last 3 hours, you got enough to push it through. So that's always been a motivation. And I tell people all the time, it's always a saying of A&M, it's like it's so unique, right? Outside looking in, you don't understand it. Inside looking out, you can't explain it.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people all the time that when you go to Kyle Field, it's just unique. And even now, like everybody I talk to, from all the coaches, players that are former players that had a chance to play, and everybody just like, I don't care where you play, how much you love LSU, how much you love Florida, it doesn't matter. But you go play at Texas A&M, it's just so unique. I'm just thankful and fortunate that I had a chance to play at Kyle Field, because I can't tell people that has to be the best place, best venue or atmosphere in the world to play a game of football.
Incredible. I could not agree more.
Yeah.
Going back, Dat, to your story, I said earlier that your story is the epitome of the American dream. And then after your time at Texas A&M, you end up playing for America's team in the NFL. So tell me maybe one story or maybe a favorite memory from your time with the Dallas Cowboys.
So obviously, we couldn't ask for a better opportunity. Right? For me, grew up in the state of Texas, playing all three levels in the Lone Star State, which is hard to do. And got to Cowboys. I got drafted, and then the following week, we had a mini camp. So usually they bring the rookies in, and they have some selected veterans or veterans. And this time they had all the veterans. And so they want to introduce you to the team, introduce you to the playbook, and see how we operate. So we walk in to the facilities, and there's some Aggies that are on the team. And the first guy I met was Darren Woodson. And Darren Woodson's a great defensive player, team captain. He's a Ring of Honor for the Cowboys. And he comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, Dad, I love the way you play. Love your game. Just remember, the game of football, you'll be a former player longer than you'll be a player." And I was like, "What? You'll be a former player longer than you'll be a player." Mm-hmm. So it didn't resonate to me then, but out in the offseason, I kept it in my back mind. I thought about it. I was like, man, he said, "Hey, there's life after this game. Mm-hmm. This game is only a certain window. You seize it, enjoy it, you'll be a former player." Obviously, you play 7 seasons. Now I'm out 15 years. It's already double of how many years that I played. So that was kind of cool for me to sit back and think back, like, golly, that's what he shared with me. He didn't even know who I was. He was just a fan.
Right. He just passed on that wisdom and advice.
Mm-hmm. And just realize, hey, enjoy the moment. Technically, he was just saying, enjoy the moment. Be where your feet are. And we go out to practice that same day. So halfway through 7-on-7, which is quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends versus linebackers and cornerbacks and safeties. If they call the offensive play, we'll call the defensive play. If the offensive play comes up, the formation, we adjust to it, and they run the play, and we execute our defense to whatever the offense plays are. So halfway through, I hear my name from the defensive coordinator. "Dad, get in there." I was like, "What? Get in there." I was like, man, I played 50-plus games in college, man. I know what I'm doing. And so I strut myself out there on the field, and then I get the signal from Coach. And I'm looking at Coach, getting the signal. The offense is behind me, right? So I call the huddle, call the play, break the huddle, and I flip my head around to get alignment. And then I saw Troy Aikman, and I looked behind him. It was Emmitt Smith. I looked to my right. It was Michael Irvin. They snapped the ball. I didn't even move. I was so starstruck. I was like, these guys we watch on Sundays, and now I'm on the same field with these guys. Like, oh, awesome. Man. Yeah. So that was pretty funny. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. What a time. Were you just like frozen?
Oh, I didn't even move. Yeah. I didn't even move. Yeah. My coach said, "Hey, move. What are you doing?"
Well, Dad, I mean, you hold the distinction of being the first and only Vietnamese American to play in the National Football League. And as a trailblazer, what advice would you give to others who are in similar situations?
I don't think I ever thought about during the process or during that time. You're just trying to make the next play or make the next team, and just didn't realize how much of an impact afterwards. And right. I think it really hit me when I was, third year or so, fourth year in the league, and you start realizing, wow, you're the first, and it comes up that you to the career where the game, just like we talked about with experience, the game kind of slowed down a little bit, year 2, year 3, maybe year 3, year 4, when it really slows down in the National Football League. And you get more time to do stuff to realize, wow, in the offseason, you're not trying to make a position, you're trying to just get better, you're enhancing your game now. You're not trying to fight for position because you have earned a position. Year 3, year 4, year 5, especially, if you sign a second contract, whatever. But I don't think I ever thought about the trailblazer mindset. I just kind of just plugged along and just trying to get better and trying to help team, try to win. Most important thing was the winning. And unfortunately, we didn't win as much in Dallas, but it's just that, remember we talked about you're so structured as a student athlete. Mm-hmm. When you become a professional athlete, you're even more structured. Just because, you have a gap about 2 months to take an off season to go vacation with your family. But like February 14th, after Valentine's Day, that Monday, wherever that Valentine's Day landed, that Monday I was back working for the next season. So you set the foundation again for the next season, because what you did the year before is no guarantee that you're going to do it again. So that's how I always look at it. I don't get the time to really reflect and say, wow, you were the first Vietnamese. And I think more now, since I've been out, you appreciate it more. And unfortunately, I wish there was more kids that are playing. And I think there's some out there, and hopefully there'll be a few. And I don't know, linebacker is a position a lot of Asian wants to play. You know what I mean? They want to be a kicker or a punter or maybe a receiver or something. But there is a few out there, and not many. But I was hoping that barrier was broken and more Asian kids would go out. But it's just, then you look back and you're like, wow, I was so grateful,
Right.
And I tell people all the time, the story. I got so many stories that throughout the year. I got one story, Coach Myers, Greg Myers. He was at one time a coach at A&M for 5 years, and then he went to be a coach Tom Landry, the Dallas Cowboys offensive line coach. So I was with FCA in San Antonio with Bob Lilly when I was doing ESPN radio, and I was a co-chair or honoree for the golf tournament. And I remember we're in the meeting, and Bob Lilly says, "Hey, Dad, would you mind if we honor Coach Myers' wife?" And I said, no, not at all. Even though Coach Meyer didn't coach me, I played on the defensive side, but he taught me a lot, what offensive line was doing, what they were thinking, et cetera, to make him a better football player. Mm-hmm. So he wants to honor him. So yeah. So for sure, that's easy. So obviously the day of the golf tournament, we go to the golf tournament, and we usually come early. So we want to thank the sponsors. We want to be there when they eat breakfast, when they get on to the course to play the game, to play a round of golf. I remember getting there that morning, and Miss Myers looked at me and she goes, "Hey, are you Dad?" And I go, "Yes, ma'am." She goes, "Hey, can you have a few minutes? I want to share a story." I said, "Yes, ma'am." She goes, "Back in the war, the Vietnam War, Coach Meyer was in the Air Force. He flew planes from Cambodia back to Vietnam and forth. I was a nurse at Cambodia." And she goes, "By any chance that you were one of those babies that came over in the shoebox?" And I said, "Ma'am, excuse me?" She goes, "Yeah, whenever they bomb a hospital, if there's infant, they will put them in shoe boxes and fly them to Cambodia, and she will take care of them." And I said,
Really?
"No, ma'am, I was still in my mom's womb." Mm-hmm. And that really hit me, realized, golly, God had all these hundreds of thousands of Vietnamese kids that came over from Vietnam, and he chose me to do what I get to do. Like, play for A&M, play for the Cowboys, and, it's work for Chick-fil-A. It's like, I don't even know if there's a job. It's like the three profession that I had, I was like, oh my Lord, I don't even know it's profession. Like, it's like, what a world of a life that I live, right? It's like, I shouldn't be complaining about anything because of what she shared with me. And I was like, I'm just grateful, thankful each and every day, and to share the story, and hopefully I can impact somebody to pursue a dream. And there's no dream that's too big, as long as you work hard and give yourself an opportunity.
Well, your story is truly an inspiration. And, I want to go back to kind of the power of an athletic scholarship and how your scholarship, it brought you to Texas A&M. And now, like you're just talking about, you're in a position where you can make a positive impact, where you can give back to Texas A&M, or where you can give back to your local community. And obviously you're doing that already through Chick-fil-A and inspiring and empowering your employees. But can you share what the power of an athletic scholarship means to you and how it's opened the door to tremendous opportunity?
People don't realize, I think a lot of student athletes don't realize how fortunate and how it all works. I think all the donors and all the people that are give to Texas A&M give us a chance. And the education, you get to fly on an airplane, you go stay in a 5-star hotel, all this stuff that you don't realize, you take it for granted, and like you didn't earn it. It's an opportunity, right? So for me, I'm just thankful and grateful. And I try to tell people that I see, all the 12th men that are donors, and what they've done, and they gave me an opportunity. Mm-hmm. And I'm grateful and thankful that every day for them. And obviously, I wish student athletes will see that when they're here and appreciate that. Without the donors, without the people supporting the 12th Man Foundation to give you an opportunity scholarship to come to Texas A&M, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I think that's who I am. I think A&M has shaped me from when I got to campus when I was 17 years old, 18 years old. They shaped me to become a young man. And, how the 4 years or the 5 years I was here, I can tell you, even though I'll hit rock bottom, but that was the best thing for me. And I realized that when things are hard, you keep working. I owe my career. I never walk around and say, I was All-American A&M. I set all these records. It's never about me, and I never want it to be me. And I always appreciate all the support from 12th Man. It's just unique. All those people that they do, and they give to the university to help. Look at the program. Look at the facilities. Like, I walk in here and it's like, oh my Lordy.
I wanted to ask you about that. I mean, Texas A&M football and just alone has some of the most elite facilities and resources in the nation. And now we're sitting in the Adam C. Sin Academic and Wellness Center in a podcast studio where we're recording this very episode. And it's all thanks to the generous support of 12th Man Foundation donors and season ticket holders who want our athletes to have the very best. And so from your perspective as a former student athlete coming back and witnessing this firsthand, how does it feel?
That's pretty awesome. It gets chills. Every time you walk on campus, when you spend 4 or 5 years of your life here, and then when you come back, it's always a different feeling. You know what I mean? It's just say home away from home. And every time you come back, there's something different, something unique, something allowing younger generation to succeed. And that's all you want. It's like we talked about that earlier about our business, right? It's like, hey, how can I help my team members to make it better, make it faster, make it quicker, or make it easier for them? It's the same thing that you see here as an athlete for football players. Like, there's no excuses that we can't perform, right? Mm-hmm. Nowadays, you get everything from health, wellness to support from, fitness. I saw the Coolidge Fitness Center over there. It's at the indoor facility. That's unbelievable, So, but at the end of the day, though, without the 12th Man Foundation, there's no student athletes. In my opinion, at A&M. It's like there's no support there. If you don't have that, there's nobody going to support. And we won't be the way we are today without that. And so the generosity of all these donors and all these support of former athletes, I'm just grateful and thankful that they are willing to do that and to help our team and have so much pride and so much support to want to win. And at the end of the day, all these kids, I hope that they appreciate and one day they will just say thank you. And I think that's the most important thing. If you just say thank you to the donors. This is pretty remarkable. All they intertwine. And then the foundation, is why it's called the foundation, I guess, 12th Man Foundation is the foundation of the A&M athletics. So I'm just thankful and grateful, and I really appreciate all the supporters and all the donors that has given to this great university.
And to wrap up today, Dad, why are you proud to be an Aggie?
Why am I proud? God, I'm just proud to be a part of it. I'm part of the great university. I think A&M is just a unique place. How A&M shape you to be, to look at life and look at the world a little bit differently. Not either way, it doesn't matter, but it teaches you how to become a better person in society, in the world too. You'd rather give out the hand and try to receive something. I think A&M is really simple. I don't know. I just love A&M. What it's done for me. I think who I am today is shaped so much by this university. And it's not just because of the university, it's just like there's so much of the whole. From coaches to teammates to teachers, professors, everybody that I enact somehow, some way, donors, they have taught me some way, somehow. Just like I tell Coach Slocum all the time, his coaching staff was so phenomenal, not just coaching on the field, how they treat their wife, how they care of themselves as a husband, how they care of themselves as a father. It's like I tell people that the best quote that I ever heard is, you can win, but if you can't make these young men to be future husband, father, and good man in society, you failed.
Dat Nguyen on Answering the Call podcast. Dat, thank you again for joining us on the show and for being a guest today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you, Ivy.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Answering the Call. If you're enjoying this show, please rate and follow us on your podcast streaming platform of choice so you can be the first to know when a new episode drops. As always, a big thank you to our incredible podcast producer, Megan Rohde, to 12th Man Productions and Texas A&M Athletics NIL Department. We also extend our heartfelt gratitude to every donor and season ticket holder for always answering the call through loyal support of Texas A&M Athletics and our student athletes. We will be back soon with more content. Thanks, and gig 'em.